El Salvador, a nation struggling to overcome 50 years of military rule. This period of transition has brought several major reform efforts. Land and banking reforms, rebuilding programs, and a strengthening of cooperative farm organizations seek the end to stark poverty suffered by many citizens. But reform seldom comes easily after a legacy of inequities. Violence and terrorism have slowed the democratic process in El Salvador, but they have not stilled it.
The 1984 presidential elections are expected to play a big part in the search for a peaceful solution here. But in order to do so, they'll have to be honest and credible, not only to the international community, but especially to the Salvadorans themselves. With this in mind, the United States government, through its Agency for International Development, is assisting the Salvadorans in the preparation of an electoral register, which will help to provide some of these guarantees.
The current electoral registry is based on national identification cards issued to every citizen over 18. These identification cards are issued in each municipality, and a duplicate copy is filed in the capital city of San Salvador. The system works reasonably well during normal times, but with nearly 500,000 displaced citizens in El Salvador, the system is strained beyond its limits. During the 1982 elections, more than 30,000 duplicate cards were discovered, and the chances of voter fraud were staggering.
The Central Elections Council of the Salvadorian government decided what they wanted to do with the 1984 elections. They wanted a registry that was as good as possible in the time they had available. They decided how they wanted to do the registry. They decided what they wanted to do in terms of removing duplicate ID cards and dead voters from the list. And after they made those decisions, they came to us in the U.S. government and asked us for the financing.
With financial aid guaranteed, the government of El Salvador put its plans for a free and honest election into motion.
The two key elements on the technical side are the best technology, the best microfilm equipment, the best computers that we could identify, and the best technical assistance.
The equipment needed to create a certified and secure voter registry cleared customs and arrived in El Salvador in November of 1983.
Well, is there any,
the microfilm equipment chosen for the task was the Minolta Micro Auto 16 recorder. The Auto 16's modular assembly and ease of portability were among the factors in its selection, but the most vital factor was its ease of operation. The entire microfilm project will be in the hands of unskilled El Salvadorans, trained by a small team of American experts. With the election scheduled for March 1984, there is no time to lose.
And we uncrated and got the supervisors in here, and from day one, it's been hard pressed. And they went into production, about 3 or 4 days later.
The scope of the project is unprecedented. Every birth and death record dating from 1900 to the present will be microfilmed, computerized, and verified before the election.
I've worked on microfilm conversions in the United States where I've filmed 4 to 5 million pieces of paper and had a year and a half to film it. Here you have a unique situation where we're filming, where we originally started 6 million pieces of paper and have now filmed somewhere between 9 and 11 million pieces of paper. GBF, as consultants on this project, found a firm called Invertech, which supplied us the information to find 120 El Salvadorians and find an office space, get past local laws, deal with security on a massive scale.
With all 20 cameras transferred to a secure location in San Salvador, the training of camera operators and technicians begins. Within a week, the Salvadorans are in full production, and 2 years' worth of records are filmed and processed.
The roll that has already been processed. That's very important.
All of the American personnel have been delighted with how well the training has gone. Not ever having done a project like this before, we didn't quite know what to anticipate. And
we were prepared for the worst, and we got the best.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week, the work continues. And still the volumes come by the thousands, varied in size, often fragile with age and fading. The deteriorating documents would challenge even the most skilled operators. But the Micro Auto 16's automatic exposure control and its advanced optics provide the high resolution required. And automatic focusing throughout 4 different reduction ratios keeps the project on schedule despite the enormous workload.
I've been very pleased with the equipment. It's all holding up very well, living up to its reputation.
Most of the work is done in San Salvador, but cameras are occasionally moved to areas so remote that their power must come from generators. The Auto 16 is easily disassembled, and its rugged transport case provides maximum portability through the mountainous terrain of El Salvador. And whenever the cameras and personnel move, security and safety are prime considerations.
Chalatenango, this area, is very dangerous because they have the hydroelectric plant over here. That's the head of the department. San Vicente is over here, the volcano area, very dangerous. Only way to go a helicopter.
A major industry has been created virtually overnight, an industry burdened by a massive workload and the constraints of time, and entrusted with safeguarding a free election.
The staggering part in this is the production management. And by production management, I mean, how do you get the documents in, keeping track of all the technicians, their standards, their level of rework, splicing in rework, finding where the master rolls are, duplicating, making sure the duplicates are going to the right location. The rework has been between 1% and 2%, and in the United States I'm comfortable with 4% to 6%.
100,000 times a day, vital information is transcribed onto computer forms to prepare an automated database for the registry. To enhance credibility and prevent tampering, an international certified accounting firm is chosen to design and verify the database.
We started out by developing some software that brought the old database that they used to have from the old computer onto this new one. The second thing we did was to build software for what we call internal validation. Internal validation is basically checking for duplicates within the old registry. The third major part of the software that we developed was for what we call external validation, which is to check against a civil registry consisting of birth and death records.
On February 21st, with nearly 11 million documents microfilmed, duplicated, and verified, the project was completed, delivering a secure and comprehensive voter registration list to the Central Election Council of El Salvador.
Our assistance to the Salvadoran government has been, at least in my mind, a model of what international cooperation should be. We provided financing, we provided the best technical assistance we could find, the best technology we could get for the Salvadorians to do what they wanted to do with elections.
On March 25, 1984, the people of El Salvador exercised their democratic right to vote.